Hello and welcome to TVB News. The 2023 District Council ordinary election has come to an end with a 27.54% turnout rate for the directly elected seats. Nearly 1.2 million people cast their ballots for these 88 seats. But because of a computer system failure involving the electronic voter register, the voting hours were extended to midnight, 1.5 hours later than usual. All the results for the directly elected seats were announced by around 8 a.m. this morning. Chief Executive John Lee expressed hope that the new councillors will help improve the district-level governance when they take office next year. The Democratic Alliance for the Betterment and Progress of Hong Kong emerged as the biggest winner, having secured more than 100 seats. That's followed by the Federation of Trade Unions. But some centrist parties didn't do as well. Jackie Lin with details.
The first District Council ordinary election after the electoral overhaul. Following an overnight vote counting process, the full result came on Monday morning. For the 88 directly contested seats across 44 geographical constituencies, an overwhelming victory for the Democratic Alliance for the Betterment and Progress of Hong Kong, or DAB. It won 41 seats. The Federation of Trade Unions, or FTU, has the second highest number of seats, with 18 of its 25 candidates winning through. The FTU retained its traditional strongholds in Kwun Tong and Sha Tin from the DAB's foray, but they suffered a setback in North Point, losing seats to the DAB and Liberal Party. The polls at the newly established District Committee's constituency recorded a nearly 97% turnout rate among some 2,500 voters. The DAB again cruised to victory with nearly 90% of its candidates elected. Among the 77 DAB contestants, 68 secured a seat. Other pro-establishment parties all won less than 10 seats. Among the District Committee's constituency voters appointed by the government in July 2020, many are DAB members. Overall, the DAB snapped up more than 40% of the 264 seats up for grabs. Despite that, the DAB said it was not a landslide victory, adding the turnout rate is not the only measurement on the success of the polls.
We didn't describe ourselves as a landslide victory. The reason being that we need to work closely with other parties going forward to deliver good governance in the district affairs governance.
What does the DAB think of the voting rate for this year's district council election, being that it is the lowest district council election voting rate since the handover?
Back in 2019, you have high turnout rate like reaching 70%, but it's full of chaos and threatening. I don't think Hong Kong people would accept it.
Federation of Trade Unions President Stanley Ng meanwhile admitted on social media that the party suffered a defeat but will continue to serve the community. The New People's Party won 15 seats. Its chairperson Regina Ip described that as a bonanza, as the party only had one councillor before. The Business and Professionals Alliance for Hong Kong secured 4 directly contested seats among its 10 candidates and said they would learn from the success of the winning parties. 3 of the Liberal Party's 4 candidates also notched a councillor seat. TV artist-turned politician Song Chi-ling lost her bid in the hotly contested Wan Chai constituency. Song thanked the over 3,000 people who voted for her and promised to work harder in district work. Roundtable fielded one candidate in Tuen Mun West who lost by a wide margin of more than 1,000 votes. Also failed in the polls is the sole candidate from Path of Democracy, a middle-of-the-road party led by Executive Council member Ronnie Tong. Veteran political commentator Lau Siu Kai said the DAB's win is within expectations.
Big parties are always have an advantage because they can devote more resources and talent into the election and build on their reputation as problem solvers at the district level.
Lau said the government will appoint more professionals who are not affiliated to any political parties to allow more diversity in the district councils. Jackie Lin, TVB News.
The chairman of Electoral Affairs Commission, David Locke, today apologized for the computer system failure that led to an extension of voting hours during the district council elections on Sunday. Chief Executive John Lee has ordered an investigation and wants answers within 3 months. Mimo Singhai reports.
On the morning after the District Council elections, the chairman of the Electoral Affairs Commission, David Look, spoke to the press. He talked about Sunday night's glitch that affected the electronic poll register system, forcing organizers to use paper registration and extend polling duration by 90 minutes. Look appeared emotional during his talk.
但我真係希望各位唔好希望
He said he hopes the public will not ignore the hard work put in by election officials. He insisted that despite the error, the overall operation was a success. Look also said he let down his colleagues, adding he will take responsibility for any shortcomings. Chief Executive John Lee has ordered an investigation committee to be set up by the EAC, which will include a cybercrime expert from the police force. The committee is required to submit its report in 3 months. The system that suffered the glitch cost the government $45 million. This is the company responsible for its operation. What can authorities do to avoid similar incidents in the future? An expert stressed the importance of advanced testing, which he suspected authorities may have overlooked.
From our security and the performance perspective, we need to test whether the loading is very consistently giving the quality, the service level agreement. For example, I need to test maybe 2 weeks to check whether there's any database collection congestion if I continuously log in, log out for a prolonged period of time. This is kinds of performance testing.
While Lai said testing may not necessarily avoid potential glitches altogether, but they can greatly reduce the chances of it happening. Mims 9, TVB News.
Beijing's Hong Kong and Macau Affairs Office congratulated the District Council election for being successful. In a statement, the office said the election was conducted in a fair and orderly way. It also said the fact that almost 1.2 million people had cast their ballots is concrete action to counter efforts to smear the election. Beijing's liaison office in Hong Kong also called the election a success, saying it opened a new chapter in the city's district administration. The office also praised voters for being patient when a computer problem delayed the voting process. A U.S. F-16 fighter jet crashed in South Korea today while on a routine training flight. The pilot was rescued after ejecting when the aircraft experienced an in-flight emergency. The pilot was rescued in the Yellow Sea by the South Korean Coast Guard and returned to the Kunsan Air Base. The cause of the emergency is being investigated. The unit's commander says he is grateful for the pilot's recovery and that he is in good condition. The air base, located in the South Korean west coast city of Gunsan, is one of the 2 main air bases used by the U.S. military in the country. Welcome back to TVB News. New Argentina President Javier Mle was sworn into office in Buenos Aires on Sunday. The libertarian economist has promised wide-ranging and hard-hitting reforms. His first speech left the people of Argentina in little doubt that he plans monumental changes in a bid to turn around the failing economy. David Garrett reports.
Even many of Javier Mle's supporters thought it would not happen. The 53-year-old waved to the crowd as he entered Congress to be sworn in as president of Argentina. The populist took the election last month, although seen as an outsider early on.
Javier Gerardo Milei.
He swore to carry out his duties loyally, patriotically and follow the Constitution. As he finished pledging the oath, cheers could be heard inside and out. He was handed the presidential sash by the outgoing leader. Excited supporters congregated to welcome their new man. Former Brazilian leader Jair Bolsonaro, who supported Mle on his campaign, congratulated the new man in charge. Mle has criticised current left-wing Brazilian President Lula da Silva. Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky was also there. Top Chinese politicians were conspicuous by their absence. Mle has vowed to reduce reliance on agricultural deals with Beijing. He also wants to replace the peso with the US dollar. The party atmosphere in Buenos Aires was quickly dampened as Mle told the crowd home truths.
Si un país carece de reputación,
There is no money, was his message. He said shock therapy was needed to halt rampant inflation. He said there was no alternative. The Economist plans not only to slash government spending, but also whole departments. Decadence is over, as he promised cuts to the public sector. As he travelled to the presidential residence in an open-top car, the populist looked every bit a statesman. Since his election, the outrageous, bombastic style has tempered, leaving some Argentinians wondering what kind of president they will get. The right-winger has already shelved plans to disband the health ministry. Despite saying climate change is a hoax, Mle sent a respected Green campaigner to COP28.
Mle is a liberal, is a libertarian, and he believes in the market forces, and the market demands to include adaptation measures to address climate change.
Whether it is the chainsaw-wielding maverick of his campaign or a more refined statesman, time will tell. Either way, it will be different. This was a first. He stopped his motorcade to greet a dog. The canine lover has vowed to keep spending on a tight leash and win back respect for Argentina. Mle says there's no time to waste. David Garrett, TVB News.
The children of Iran's jailed Nobel Peace Prize winner Narges Muhamadi collected the award at a ceremony in the Norwegian capital Oslo on Sunday. Her twins read from a speech Muhamadi had written from her cell at the Evin prison in Iran. The activist wrote that the Iranian people will ultimately overcome authoritarianism imposed by a government that has lost its legitimacy and public support. Muhamadi said continued resistance and nonviolence were the best strategies to effect change. The prize includes a gold medal, a diploma, and a check for 11 million Swedish crowns, which is equivalent to about $1 million US. Muhamadi, who was awarded the prize in October, is serving multiple sentences on charges, including spreading propaganda against the Islamic Republic. She is also against Iran's mandatory law requiring women to cover their heads with a scarf or hijab. Police today took a 52-year-old woman who was arrested over the weekend on suspicion of murdering her husband to a Tai Po village for a crime scene reconstruction. The suspect was taken to Chai Kek village, where the couple lived. She stayed there for about 90 minutes as officers collected evidence. Late Saturday, police received a call from a man saying that he had lost contact with his uncle. When he arrived at his uncle's home, his aunt refused to open the door, so he sought police assistance. Police arrived at the scene and found that a 62-year-old man was dead. Officers arrested the dead man's wife on suspicion of murder. Police have launched a campaign to crack down on jaywalkers, who will be fined $2,000. At the intersection of Kings Road and Tin Choy Street in North Point, some people were seen jaywalking today. Plainclothes police officers issued tickets to some of them. Starting today, officers will take various forms of law enforcement actions to crack down on jaywalkers or people climbing over fences to cross the street. The police urge pedestrians to observe traffic rules and traffic lights and use pedestrian subways or footbridges when available. A reusable rocket developed in China completed its second vertical trial flight. The launch was carried out at Jiuquan Satellite Launch Center on Sunday afternoon. The Hyperbola 2 blasted off successfully. The trial team said the flying height of the test increased by 350 meters. The rocket flew for just over 1 minute. It touched down back at the same point it started. This is the first time a Chinese-developed reusable rocket has taken a second trial flight. That's the news. Thanks for watching. Pearl Magazine is up shortly. Bye for now.